Suicide is a form of murder, premeditated murder. It isn't something you do the first time you think of doing it. It takes getting used to. And you need the means, the opportunity, the motive. A successful sadist demands good organization and a cool head, both of which are incompatible with the suicidal state of mind. It's important to cultivate detachment. One way to do this is to practice imagining yourself dead or in the process of dying. If there's a window, you might imagine your body falling out the window. If there is a knife, you must imagine the knife piercing your skin. If there's a train coming, you must imagine your torso flattened under its wheels. These exercises are necessary to achieving the proper distance. The motive is paramount. Without a strong motive, you're sunk. My motives were weak. An American history paper I didn't want to have to write, and the question I'd asked months earlier, why not kill myself? Dead, I wouldn't have to write the paper. Nor would I have to keep debating the question. The debate was wearing me out. Once you've posed that question, it won't go away. I think many people kill themselves simply stop the debate about they will or they won't. Anything I thought or did was immediately drawn into the debate. Made a stupid remark, why not kill myself? Missed the bus, better put an end to all this. I liked that movie, maybe I shouldn't kill myself. Actually, it was only part of myself I wanted to kill, the part that wanted to kill herself, that dragged me into the suicide debate and made every window, kitchen implement, and subway station a rehearsal for tragedy. I didn't figure this out though, until after I swallowed the 50 aspirin. I had a boyfriend named Johnny who wrote me love poems, good ones. I called him up, said I was going to kill myself, left the phone off the hook, took my 50 aspirin, and realized it was a mistake. Then I went out to get some milk, which my mother had asked me to do before I took the aspirin. Johnny called the police. They went to my house and told my mother what I'd done. She turned up in the A&B on Mass Avenue just as I was about to pass out over the meat counter. As I walked the 5 blocks to the A&B, I was gripped by humiliation and regret. I'd made a mistake and I was going to die because of it. Perhaps I even deserved to die because of it. I began to cry about my death. For a moment, I felt compassion for myself and all the unhappiness I contained. Then things started to blur and whiz. By the time I reached the store, the world had been reduced to a narrow, throbbing tunnel. I'd lost my peripheral vision, my ears were ringing, my pulse was pounding. The bloody chops and steaks strawing against their plastic wrappings were the last things I saw clearly. Having my stomach bumped brought me around. They took a long tube and put it down the back of my throat. That was like being choked to death. They began to pump. That was like having blood drawn on a massive scale. The suction, the sense of tissue collapsing and touching itself in the way it shouldn't, the nausea as all that was inside was pulled out. It was a good deterrent. Next time, I decided I certainly wouldn't take aspirin. But when they were done, I wondered if there would be a next time. I felt good. I wasn't dead, yet something was dead. Perhaps I'd managed my peculiar objective of partial suicide. I was lighter than I'd been in years. My airiness lasted 4 months. I did some of my homework. I stopped seeing Johnny and took up with my English teacher, who wrote even better poems, though not for me. I went to New York with him. He took me to the Frick to see the Vermeers. The only odd thing was that suddenly, I was a vegetarian. I associated meat with suicide, because of passing out at the meat counter. But I knew there was more to it. The meat was bruised, bleeding, and imprisoned in a tight wrapping. And though I had a 6-month respite from thinking about it, so was I.